United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Workshop. Would Selectmen to discuss the recent offer made to purchase 127 Powell Road for the use of the future town office.
You want me to maybe give a quick rundown of what we've done so far and where we're at? All right. So in your packets, what you have is just a quick overview of the warrant article, which is on the town meeting warrant. It outlines that it's asking for authorization to purchase 127 Powell Road for $750,000, which was the offer made by the selectmen to the hospital to purchase this. It also requests permission from town meeting to allow the town to finance, this as well. So when we get into the meat and potatoes of it a little bit here, it's $750,000 for the building. We do still have about $294,000 left in the town office reserve account. The thought process was that money could be used to do some of the renovations to this property if authorized at town meeting. Not to go back too far, but as folks will know, when they come to town meeting, the town has done a handful of different things, from looking at leasing options, looking at doing complete replacement options for the town, for a new town office building. Put those things out to bid right about my time when I arrived here last year, and those are coming in anywhere from $1.7 to $2.8 million for replacements or renovations of either here or building somewhere else. But if memory serves me correctly, there was a lot of things that were missing from those. Some of them didn't include any site work. Some of them didn't include some of the other detail that we were looking for. So at last year's town meeting in 21, we meaning the selectmen and the manager, if you will, presented some options, and one of those was the leasing, which was voted down. So then at the same time, we presented a timeline that we were going to work with moving forward. And if you note that we said between November of 21 and December of 22, we would be working with the architect to design a new building. And that's where we're at now. What I'm thankful for, though, is the architect, Harriman is the name of the company, is willing to, if we do purchase this new building, Harriman is willing to, retool, if you will, and shift gears and come with us over to this new site and help us with the renovations and so forth. So, as it stands right now, we have an RFP out for financing. That'll be back before town meeting, so that option will have more options on the table there. We're looking for, Harriman has done a walkthrough with us to help us with some estimates on how much it's going to cost to retrofit, this potential new building. And I think we really have our ducks in a row here at this point. So we're just going to be looking for town meeting to authorize us to purchase this road on Powell Road. I know from my perspective as the manager, I'm pretty excited about this opportunity. I think it's a nice, clean building. It's going to take minimal effort to get it to where it needs to be. I think it's in a part of town where a lot of people travel to when they go to do their personal business, either shopping or otherwise up there. So I'm pretty excited about it. If people that are here want, I do have a small handout that I can give people too. I should have put that out. So, if the board has anything further than that they'd like to add.
Anything from the board? Any public comments? Seeing none, the workshop is. Action in the minutes on May 5th.
Okay, I'll second.
You can read. I think you
Any
should.
discussion? Not all in favor? Opposed? Adjustments to the agenda.
Motion.
The minutes.
Any adjustments?
No, sir. Sorry.
Public comment. Anybody have any public comment? None? Appoint Kevin Nichols to the Recreation Committee.
So Second.
Any discussion? No, all in favor? Opposed? Abatement, a moment.
The assessing agent, Donna Hayes, has received an abatement from Walmart. She's reviewed their request and the documents they provided, and she is recommending the board deny the abatement request. She's attached a letter outlining her reasoning.
Mr. wish of the board?
Motion to deny.
All in favor? Highway plow truck, RFP, review and award.
So I've got Jim here with us tonight to help with this, but in short, we put an RFP out. He did the specs for the vehicle, for the truck, put an RFP out, opened them on the 16th. We received bids from Viking for the plow gear only for $86,155. Received a bid back from HP Fairfield for plow gear only, $99,100. That's if we select them by 5/19. But plow gear only for $102,175 if we make the selection on the 20th or after. And Daigle Houghton for the truck only, that's an International HV613 with plow gear, I should say, so that's truck and plow gear, for $236,100. O'Connor Motor Company, a Volvo VHD64F chassis only, $148,107. A Western Star 47X chassis only, $146,060. Then we have finally Freightliner of Maine for a Freightliner 114SD chassis only, $144,061. After reviewing the bids with the highway foreman, Jim Bennett, the recommendation to the board is to go with the Freightliner of Maine for $144,061 and the plow gear from Viking to include some of the noted options, and Jim can just go over those if you'd like, for $90,320. That'll bring it to a total of $234,381. That's about $4,381 more than the board had authorized at the capital budgets. Do you have any questions for Jim?
Any questions?
What was the number you said on the plow?
The plow is $90,320. That includes all the headgear, the plow, the wing, and the dump body, and some warranties, right, Jim?
Yeah.
What did you get warranty on that, Jim?
What's that?
What have you got figured in there for warranty
On the plow gear or the truck?
on the truck? Plow gear, I don't think what my trouble was.
The truck itself, transmission, typical drivetrain stuff is only a year. But they offered also the extended coverage warranty included in the price, which gives you 5 years on the transmission, unlimited mileage, 5 years on the drivetrain, unlimited mileage. I believe it's all listed. It's towing up to 550 for the first year. Yeah, so 7 years on the engine, 150,000 miles.
Right, but the thing that I want to make sure was in there was the emission system.
I didn't see anything.
EW4, I think, covers that.
As far as actual spelt out emissions, I did not see anything extended.
If it's on, I would suggest we find out what that is, but I think EW4 covers it. But that definitely should be part of it, because that's where the problem is, if you haven't already got that figured out.
Yeah, you are correct. If that EW4 is that we're talking of 7 years, 150,000 miles.
Right, but a lot of times they'll warranty them and the emissions is a standard, and you don't want that. You want to make sure that the emissions are covered for as long as you can get them covered.
Yeah.
And if that's what that is, which I think it is, but it doesn't really say that.
Right, it doesn't specify.
If that's the case, I would make that motion to go with that, but I want to make sure that's in it.
I can find that out tomorrow.
Yeah, EW4 engine coverage, it says, 7 years, 150,000 miles.
Mhm. But I mean, in 7 years, you ain't, what's the oldest one got on it for mileage?
The 09, it's like 128,000.
Bingo, would be covered for the life of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good move.
Any other discussion? Did I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Fuel RFP.
So, Colby, gotta just clarify that motion and stuff was after I find out about the emissions.
Just, as long as that's covered, I'm okay.
Right, okay.
I want that.
No, good point.
Extended point on that, I just want to clarify that it is, maybe, I'm sure that EW4 breaks it down, but I ain't got one of them to look at right here in front
Right,
of me.
right.
Okay, that's all.
And then just so you guys know, the other thing, I talked to both Freightliner and Viking today. They, as soon as they get the letter of confirmation, it's okay to do. Freightliner, when I talked to them in February, they had 2 slots open, they now have none until first quarter of next year. So that being said, we will not receive the truck before July of '23.
Thank you for checking on that.
But I think it's the same with all of them.
Oh, it is. They're all said. None of them had slots left for this year.
Very good. Fuel RFP. Didn't look like much.
Nope. So, I want to start this off by saying we have propane, but we get it, right now, we've been getting it from Stephen Brown, that's who our tanks are with. So we put out an RFP, looking for propane, number 2 heating fuel, diesel fuel, and K1. All we got back was one bid from Dead River for propane only, and that was $2.19.5 per gallon. I was really hoping we'd get more than that, but it doesn't surprise me at the same time, given the volatility of the market. So I think before an award was made for propane only, we would want to verify with Dead River, and I haven't had a chance to do this, that they would use the existing tanks that we have. Otherwise, I would recommend that the board consider, as I noted in here, allowing myself and the finance director to see what we can negotiate.
Is it down on them, Jack?
Yeah, that's what it's just going to Ian Brown usually owns things.
Yeah, I believe C. Brown does own the tank.
Dead River will put different tanks in it.
Right.
So I think we're kind of a little bit stuck.
But the other thing on that, if you own your own tank, I mean, you gotta have a license first put it in. It's like a buck. It's somewhere between 75 cents a buck less if you own the tank.
So you're not leasing the tank.
If they're not leasing tank, you own the tank. Because I bought one because it was so attractive at the time.
I bought mine as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is,
You
it's,
can get that right pricing.
yeah.
So we can look into that for the future.
I mean, just if we're gonna change or whatever.
So is the board okay with me just trying to see if I can negotiate some of these prices and getting them to at least lock in? You know,
And I know they've been working on public work. What do we need to do to get the tanks in service?
you talking about the gasoline and? So actually, Jim's been working on that a little bit. We had a conversation, what, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, you just need to allow me to spend $10,000.
'Cause it's the pump, that's the issue.
The
And then
issue
it's
is
the old fuel.
the old gas that's in the tank. There's over 1,000 gallons in there. The Clean Harbors is like $4.85 to get rid of it per gallon.
So it's mixed with water.
Actually, there's not a drop. They suck it. There's not a drop of water in it. He's just afraid it's too old.
Didn't even dawn on me.
Been in there forever. I don't know how long it's been there.
I have to look and saw you guys.
I don't know.
It's at a couple of right?
Pretty yellow
How
looking.
many gallons are there?
Pretty yellow looking.
Figure it's 1,000 gallons in it.
They said there's a little over 1,000.
God, I'd use it.
I'll burn it if you tell me to.
You got a cover over it, right?
Oh yeah, there's no water in it, they dipped it, there's no water in it. He just didn't know how well it would run through these new vehicles.
I'll come up and tell him the gas can't be full.
I don't see anything, I see nothing.
Gas.
Gas.
Yeah. Oh, my other question to do, if we're asking is that we must be able to get both gas and diesel cheaper if we get it delivered in bulk.
Right now, the highway department's paying $2.49 for diesel,
Yeah.
but that's under the bid. I mean, that's gonna end in June.
The only thing, yeah, I mean, we're checking into, and the only one it is with, I have fuel down in my place, but I can send a truck to Irving and usually buy it 5 cents a gallon cheaper. I mean, if you're approved and you got an account with them and they take it out of your, I mean, it isn't like I write them a check for it, they deduct it from your account. I don't know how that works with towns. And this Irving up here isn't an Irving. I mean, it's Urban Fuel and everything, but there is quite a discount savings on the Urban card, even at a place like that. But I can buy fuel usually 5 cents a gallon cheaper than I can buy 9,500 gallons down at, believe it or not, at the Urban Inn. I don't know if Urban does any of that stuff with with things, and Urban won't deliver to individual places anymore. They want you to go to their place. But if you've got an approved account with them, it's not. They will ball the other guy out of you having all that liability of them under the, the underground tank, or above ground tanks, whatever. There is something to at least experiment with before you throw them in. I'm not telling, convenience is great. But, because I have it there, and the convenience is that I pay for it.
Right now, we pay with the Lexus, we pay what's supposed to be, right?
We're minus the taxes and taxes.
Are you sure about that?
It's supposed to be,
Exactly, it's supposed to be.
because I'm pretty sure I bet, look
Yeah.
at the numbers, I bet we pay.
I bet you pay tax.
All of it, all of it.
Well, if we're paying the taxes on it, we gotta call them on that shit.
But they told me the tanks are fine, it was just that gas, he didn't know if he'd burn it, that's all.
Really?
So I guess to answer your
It
question,
doesn't change it on the whole, right?
No, it doesn't.
No, but we don't want to pay those
All
teachers.
right, well, I guess I'll let you go so I can talk to her and want to paperwork that.
Not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure we're still up there.
It's a good idea.
And how many propane tanks do we
Yeah,
have?
so we have propane at the public safety building, wastewater treatment facility, that's a larger one. And then we also have at the transfer station, we've been kind of phasing the ones at the transfer station out with the heat pumps, trying to keep that, so.
Any other discussion on this? Sewer connection waiver request, 79 Lower Rink Road, continue.
So that's me. Not sure what etiquette is. Do I need to be at a mic or? do I need to
you're
go here?
We can,
Okay, awesome. I'm John Brottingham. My wife Tamsin came in a couple weeks ago to talk to y'all. And I think I sent her in without probably all the information that I could have sent her in with. I was out of town. So what we're looking to do, our lot is 1.9 acres, which is a dividable lot. We have 200 feet of road frontage. Spoke with Kingston at length about that, figured out how to do that. What we're hoping to do is build another structure, residence on the back lot. I'll just refer to it as a back lot. Our proposal is to do private septic because the way that the two lots will be divided, the tie-in for the existing, for all of 79 Lower Rink Road is right smack in the middle of our, it would be the front lots boundaries. So to tie into that would require an easement into and across that lot to hit that tie-in. I'm not going to try to say his name correctly, but the gentleman with septic It was very helpful to talk to him today. I asked him what it would cost to establish a new tie-in for the new address. And he said that it'd be incredibly cost prohibitive. His recommendation would be to tie in, just put a Y in, tie into our existing location. So the complication is primarily to do with the easement issue. We're trying to create two separate and clean deeds, and we would have to run, we're going to be 350 feet back at least, if not closer to 400 feet, the structure. So we'd be running that full distance, then we would have to go around the existing structure to tie in. I, last second, proved that I am not supposed to be a surveyor, but I did a kind of a quick drawing of the lot. This is the back lot structure proposed. This is the existing, which is Brilliant Smiles Dental Hygiene. This is our septic tie-in. So, and then the red sort of identifies the proposed separation of the lot. So we would be going from this structure here, either through the woods and then around the building, or where we're going to have the driveway. More logically, we'd have to go up the driveway and then cross over to the septic tie-in. So again, this is the proposed structure, this is the existing structure, this is our office here, this is our current septic tie-in. So we would be traveling that full distance. So in terms of cost, which I think was what was brought up when Tamsin was here, upfront cost, it could be comparable. We do have a family friend, I did send a letter, hopefully I haven't got it across. We do have a family friend who is going to be doing the work for us, gentleman Pat Davis from West Paris. He's done a lot of work for us in the past. We'd be getting a very friendly rate for him for his hours and his machinery. So our expense would be materials, which is going to be the same as everyone else's expenses, which is high. But then we don't end up with that monthly sewer fee or the complications of establishing easement to tie in across the other lot. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Our existing lot, we have a septic because we built 12 years ago prior to the sewer system. And we understand that should that system ever fail, that we would tie into town sewer, and we have no problems with that. We're not trying to fight the system at all. We're dutiful taxpayers and all that. It's really just the logistics of our proposed project and the layout of everything. So we're still requesting that waiver, hoping that we can move forward. As I said in the letter, I have not hired the surveyor to do the design because that's $500 out of pocket that may or may not go anywhere depending on how this evening goes. So I don't have exact numbers on cost. I can really only sort of touch on the high level complications involved with the process.
When you're talking about you're gonna make an easement, you're gonna go across somebody else's land, or you own both lots, right?
On the whole thing, we are going to separate the two so that they are separate lots. That gives us a little bit more flexibility with the properties. If we decide to sell one of them later, at the point of our retirement, when we close up our office, that type of thing, we just feel that it's a neater package to have the two. The other thing is, at this point, we can subdivide, and things may change, at any point, so we'd like to take advantage of the opportunity to subdivide. Well, I hate the word subdivide, it's really just divide. So the issue would be that the new lot would require an easement to access that tie. And we just prefer to have two lots that don't require easements from each other.
You're talking utility easement.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Because obviously, if anything happens with the back lot's septic discharge to the tie-in, that impacts the front lot, depending on where the issue lays.
But you said Kingston said it would be cost neutral, or the guy that runs the sewer plant?
The gentleman of the sewer plant said that putting a new tie-in to the town. So again, with the design of the subdivision, we would be running up the driveway with, I mean, if we had to, if we could go right to the town sewer line and the town sewer department would put a new tie-in for us, and then we paid to hook up to that, that would be one thing, but his reaction to that was, that's incredibly very costly to dig into the road, dig into the main line, create a new tie-in. His preference would be to go to that existing tie-in, but he was acknowledging that that is a complication if the two lots are separate. And my point of that is just that, unfortunately, we can't just go straight to the town sewer, because it sounds like it would be, he didn't talk dollars and cents, but he just said it would be very costly to tie in at a new point, to create a new point.
I thought like the other places around where they done it, they'd just basically gone up to where the pipe was and they tied it, but that isn't the case.
Well, I think the difference is that throughout town where the sewer line is, there's a T-juncture at all, at the different lots. So it's a matter of being able to just get in there and hook on. Whereas in this, if I'm understanding it correctly, in this situation, they'd have to actually cut into the sewer pipe and put another T-junction in there in order for the lot to hook up to the pipe. So and I believe that must be what Zen is talking about.
Right.
If he's
When they ran the main line down Ulrich Road, they saw one address, they created one tie-in. And it was not addressed at that point that our lot could potentially be two lots. And when that went in, that wasn't on our mind at the time, and that wasn't a question that was asked of us. I think we may be the only lot on Ulrich Road that can be divided. But I don't think that, it didn't occur to me, it didn't occur to anybody managing that initial install of the main line. So it's just an issue of, they basically looked at the lot, the building was already there, and they figured, well, this is the middle of your lawn, so this is as good a place to put your tie-in as any. As it happens, it's under our other driveway, but it's still accessible to the front lot. But again, it's just sort of the complication and work and the cost of pumps and hundreds of feet of pipe to get forward and then around the existing building. So I'm wary of that cost, and I'm wary of the deed technicalities.
If I may, not to interrupt you, when we talked on the phone, if I was understanding you correctly, this is, however, for you less about cost and more about your personal preference.
It is largely, yeah. I mean, ultimately, I understand that there is a system in place, and it's a system that has cost, and the best way for the cost to be mitigated is for the citizens to be using it and defraying it. And I'm not opposed to that concept. In this particular case, it is very much our preference to just install a private septic. It's just logical, being 350 plus feet away from pavement from the main line. It's just a more logical solution for us in terms of managing that back lot and not having such extensive utility running. So it is very much so a preference. It would be much easier for us, even if the install of the private septic costs more. To us, it's our preference, and we feel like that to some extent is our right.
Well, I mean, we'll finance the line going in there, correct?
If we have to put it, I don't believe so. I believe if we have to put the town's already installed the T there to hook up to that lot.
No, I was getting, I mean, we've helped other ones as far as running the line, correct?
I couldn't speak to that without looking, I'm sorry. What?
I mean, because to get them to sign on to that, I know we have. So
We have a loan program. We have a loan program. Where
right. Well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I didn't mean we've given it to them.
What?
No,
I wasn't reading you correctly.
but it was. I mean, it's a very reasonable
Yeah, we do have, yeah, we have a loan program where they can apply for a financing to get hooked up and so forth, yeah, that exists.
Well, I used to know.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the value of the private septic in this circumstance is, and I thank you for bringing that up, the convenience of it for us in our building process is probably more valuable than the cost is a problem. And that isn't to say that we just want to throw money at this, you know, everything is expensive and we're nickel and diming every step of the way. But one of the things that we budgeted for was to do the private septic install.
I guess I've asked, I don't know, I mean, usually a resale town sewer is worth a little more than a private system.
Well, I guess the question I have is, you own both lots, you
Mhm.
have business on one, you're going to build a house on the other.
Mhm.
The business is now hooked up to the septic
To a private septic, yeah.
for the town. It's not private.
No, our existing structure predates the sewer.
Okay.
It's hooked up to a private septic. yeah.
So why wouldn't you put your building, your house, why wouldn't you tie everything together into one?
That's an interesting question. I was actually told at some point, and I'm not going to dare quote names or times, but I don't think we're allowed to touch our existing septic system. Since the new sewer line went in, my understanding is that if it fails, we have no option to try to resurrect it. Our next option is to the town, and so likewise, I don't believe we're even permitted to tie into that. The existing system is only set up for a 2-bedroom home anyway, so it wouldn't support both, if I understand you correctly.
Well, that's part of it, yes, and that answered my question. The other is putting in the town sewer and having it on the lot that the business is on, and then tying both into the one, so that you would be on town sewer
Yeah. So then,
in that same spot.
yeah, so that basically, and actually our septic outlet is directly on the opposite side of our leach field is on the opposite side of our existing structure from our tie-in, so even that has some complications. It's not rocket science, but it's a headache. But again, the issue is that we would have to circumnavigate the entire front lot to try to get to the tie-in. And even if we try to go all the way up what will be the new driveway, hit the pavement, skirt the pavement, I don't know if there's, what's the term, the town has a right of way. It's eminent domain or whatever it is, skirt the pavement, get to where our existing T is, come back in 10, 12 feet, whatever it is, into the property line to hit that splitter, and then go in from there. At that point, we'd be talking about 300, 450, somewhere between 450 and 500 feet of piping, never mind the pump system to support that along. And I tried getting contractors on the phone to give me some kind of ballpark. I don't know if any of you have any idea. I don't know what it takes. I don't know over 450 feet of septic pipe that will be non-gravity at all. And every foot of it will have to be pumped. I don't know how many pumps that takes. I don't know what the requirements are for that, how many stages and whatnot. So it's just it's a overwhelming concept to try to wrap my head around, just to get to that location. And then on top of that, there's that, again, I'm a broken record, but the easement issue. We would like to have two clean deeds that don't require an easement from the other. in the event that we don't own both lots forever. Or, you know, when we want to sell both of them, so that the new buyers don't have to deal with that in the future.
And you have no intentions of ever asking for those two lots to be combined as one?
Recombined after?
Combined as one.
It's only one right now.
No, it is only one.
It's all one right now?
Yes, yeah. One of the things that we're working on is, we're getting a surveyor in to do this, to put the new pins to cut the lot into.
Oh, so you have one lot right now and you
Correct.
want to make it into two?
Correct.
So that's my questions. I don't know how everybody else feels. I probably would be in support of this waiver for that second lot, but he's not there yet. So I don't know that we can grant a waiver for a lot that's not even on paper yet. It's still all one lot. You see what I'm saying?
No, I
I think, and I don't know how you're gonna do it with dividing your lot, and I'm not gonna make any promises for anybody else, but once the lot's divided, I think then we could grant the waiver for that second lot as long as it's outside of that 300 feet.
Okay.
Where it's still all one lot, I don't even know that we can grant it right now.
And I respect that. It falls into the category of we're trying not to spend money on things until we know, I mean, this is the hinge point. I mean, it sounds silly that the septic is the hinge point, but it's the beginning of all projects. And, you know, every CEO wants the septic, you know, dotted and crossed before anything else happens, and we're holding on everything. So I respect that idea, and that notion, and I guess if I felt like there was something more of a unanimous, agreement on that, then I would move forward with the surveyor and get that done and come back to another meeting to formalize it if it came to that. But we're just trying not to put too much outlay before we have a.
I think that clarification is important now, knowing that, because we are dealing with one lot, so basically, I don't think that there's a waiver in place for that one lot, because if you want to put another building there, then I think the compliance needs to be that you comply with the ordinance and find a spot within that 300 feet. So that's the difference between 1 and 2. I was under the understanding, when you started talking about easements,
Mhm.
that you had 2 lots now, but you actually, it's still just one lot. So it doesn't fall into the category of asking for a waiver for the second lot because it's outside of the 300 foot.
If I wasn't planning to subdivide it, then the only difference would be I wouldn't have the argument of easement. But I would still be making the argument that it's excessive work to hook in around, even if I kept it as one lot, everything else stands. It would be a huge convenience for us, given how far back on the lot we're building. And just to have to circumnavigate the building that's existing is a huge headache, even easements aside. So I understand and respect the detail here, but I feel like 90% of the argument is still in place. Again, I will light a fire under the surveyor's backside and get it subdivided and then come back in 2 weeks if I can be here in 2 weeks, if we feel like if that's all that's hanging, then I can absolutely get that done, whether it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is. If that's important enough, then I will. I mean, that's going to be $800 or $900, I think, for me to get that survey done.
Yes. So I'm not arguing either side of this. I'm just looking at the ordinance just to make sure we're all on the same page. It says the requirement for public connection may be waived upon appeal to the Board of Selectmen. However, no waiver may be granted for any house, building, or property used for human occupancy, employment, recreation, or other purposes if said gravity line is within 300 feet of the building to be served. So I don't believe that it says anything specifically, unless I missed it, specifically on whether or not the property is abutting the sewer line. I think it's specific to if it's 300 feet back or not. So I don't know if that changes any, where we were going with that, Sharon, on whether it needs to be divided into two lots or not. Just some thoughts.
Any other discussion? What's the thought of having him survey that to come back 2 weeks? And that way it won't
If
be
he has a
just.
survey, my opinion, the survey that divides the lots, now we're talking about a second lot that is more than that 300 feet. I would be in support of waiver. Not-
And at the same time, it
For
wouldn't
everybody
be, if you're coming back, and you have the two lots, you'd have 79 Old Rink Road, and then you'd have another number for the back lot.
Correct, yeah.
So then you're distinguished, you're not getting a waiver for 79.
Okay,
See?
solid point.
Everybody
So is that a
okay?
motion?
I'll make it a motion if we need to make it a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Well, what is the question?
If he gets it subdivided,
Okay, so I said yes.
you just say, okay.
Thank you.
Right. Oxford Fire and Rescue Association Toll Bridge fundraiser request, intersection of King Street and Ski Fuel. I can get it out.
Historically, as long as I've been a member of the department, within a couple of 100 feet of where we have been doing it the last few years, 'cause we used to do it on the physical bridge itself. We've moved up to that intersection a couple of years ago. It's safer, and with it being a three-leg intersection, it's more effective because you don't have to worry as strongly about traffic approaching you from the rear. We're just looking for your permission to do it again this year. The only reason we did not do one last year was because of COVID. So just looking for permission to do the exact same boot drive fundraiser we've historically done.
Has it been okayed by the police chief?
I believe it had to go through him before it got to you.
Signature.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike
Oh,
said,
okay.
Yeah.
yeah, Mike was good with it.
The request should have been made by the association president, Isaac Tardif. That should have gone to the fire chief and police chief before it got to you guys.
Wish of the board.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any more discussion?
If anybody would like to stay in traffic with us, you're more than welcome.
All
I'll
in
be
favor?
making pancakes for breakfast that morning.
All in favor? Opposed? Department head report.
Wendy actually has an announcement for us this evening for department head report.
Yes. So we have a new employee we just hired, and her name is Jessica Canada. She's going to be starting Thursday, next Thursday.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about having somebody come aboard. She's very sweet.
What's she gonna be doing?
She will be the deputy clerk,
A new position,
replacing,
the open position.
your position.
yes.
Does she have prior experience?
She actually has down in Hebron. She was there for like, I believe, 3 to 4 months, and she had to leave because of personal issues, but she saw our ad, and she decided to jump on it, and things were resolved, and she was happy, and pleased to come back.
Town managers report.
All right, I just have a couple of things. The first was the fund balance policy reserve account. That's been talked about. We did finally get the audit back. So in reviewing the unassigned fund balance, we currently have an unassigned fund balance of $986,000. According to the fund balance policy, that we have here in town. It allows us to, anything in excess of 7%, basically between 7% and 12%, can be transferred to the fund balance policy reserve. At this point, when we look at 7%, that's just over $300,000. If we look at 12%, we don't have 12% in the unassigned fund balance right now. So I've run that calculation that's included in your packets. My recommendation for you this year would be to actually not do any transfer, leave the unassigned fund balance where it stands. That would then leave us with our fund balance policy reserve account at, I've got a calculation here, after you deduct things such as the reval, the highway truck that we just talked about, and the remaining King Street sidewalk, that would leave us with just over $1 million in the fund balance policy reserve account. That does not account for, however, the other reserves that exist, for other things that we've been saving for. That's just that 9701 account.
But this budget we propose is already gonna be in there, correct?
The budget we just proposed for.
Well, like the spending of the truck or what we.
Oh, yes. So that, just over $1 million, yes, that
That's
includes
after the other
deducting
stuff
that.
that we
Yeah.
put in for town meeting and whatever is taken care of, correct?
Yeah. Everything that we propose to take out of fund balance.
In the warrant, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah, some of the, yes, yeah, so it accounts for those things. Again, why did this happen, or why are we here, however you want to look at it? The two things that come into play here is, one, working with the auditor, we had to make some adjustments because of the TIFs, make sure the TIFs were calculated correctly, make sure that money was in the TIF reserves where it should be versus in the unassigned fund balance. And then secondly, for the fiscal year of 2021, or 20 to 21, casino revenues went from an estimated 1.7 million, and they actually turned out to be closer to 1.2 million. So there's a pretty significant loss in revenue there as well. So all those small factors all play into this. So again, in short, the manager's recommendation is to not to do a transfer this year, and to be conservative on our spending from the 9701 account this year. That's my thoughts.
I agree with that assessment.
Makes perfect sense,
Very good.
considering everything else is going on also.
Okay, town meeting reference material handout.
All right. So last year, I put together these little packets here. It's just a reference material for town meeting. I've got a couple here. If people that are here want one, I'm happy to give them out. We're going to post them on the internet as well. Basically what it does, it takes the town meeting warrant, and for each warrant article, it gives an explanation. If it's a budget article, it has the budget sheet, spreadsheet attached to it. If it's a article in reference to, say, an ordinance change, the ordinance handout is attached to it. Some things like the tax percentages and so forth that were questions at town meeting last year, you'll find the state laws attached to it. It's just there to help folks be able to follow along, be prepared, and so forth for the town meeting questions. There's also information in here about the Powell Road property, because of course that is a warrant article that's listed. There's a picture of the building and some other explanation and so forth in there. So I just wanted to make mention that is available for folks. And also budget videos. I know they're really exciting, but I've got probably 90% of those done. Should have them done by the beginning of the week, and people can watch those on, if they want to, on Facebook and so forth. So.
Very good job on that. It's an excellent resource for the voters.
Thank you.
Selectmen items. Yes.
Industrial park.
Yep.
We're running water. Do we decide we're just running water currently, or are we running water?
I don't think that a decision was made on which direction we were going to go. I know that Xenia and I have been talking to, sorry, I assumed that it was what direction.
Yes.
Xenia and I have been talking to the engineer that helped us with both the dewatering facility and then some other contacts he has to try and get an estimate on what it would cost just to run the water and sewer line to the end. Also looking at, there's some grant opportunities that we've looked at and applied for, those congressional grants, we would apply for those as well. And depending on what, if any of those things come through for us, could be part of that decision, so.
And my reason for asking, because I've heard Bishop rumor that we were running the 3 and 4 line up that road. I guess I would not be in favor of that, seeing the way you're trying to promote this as an industrial park. Well, 3 and 4 line isn't going to do anybody any good.
Well, before, I can guarantee you that before any money is spent on running water or sewer lines up there, this board is gonna be a part of that decision, because we'll need the money from the TIF reserve in order to do it anyway. So, before any decision is made, I'll make sure I present that to the board so you guys can.
Tom hasn't seen you with a check yet, or anything?
No, sir.
Oh,
Talking about the industrial park, last time, was it last fall? When a gentleman came and talked to us about using, coming down the side of the road for the snowmobile flow. Okay. Has anything changed since then? Did somebody, because I just got a call the day before yesterday, that they said there's going to be a fence going up around the industrial park, and they wouldn't have access to it.
We're not putting a fence up around the industrial park. I don't know if the others are. I had a gentleman come in the other day, I can't remember if he was from the snowmobile or the four-wheeler club, but asking about the same trail. And right along Park Road, there's space right, roadside for them to go right.
I thought we discussed that, is
That's what I thought was
What
discussed.
was this gentleman's name? Yeah.
Danny Dubois.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, we're not putting up a fence.
Okay, well, it appeared that the town was putting up a fence and shutting it down to snowmobilers and four-wheelers. And I told them, nothing's coming from us. Just,
No.
sometimes I forget things. All right, anything else? Sign warrants, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138.
Jim, did you get that up there where you come out of Walmart? It was, shows you arrow how to park out there. When I come down through this morning, the top on it broke and she was dangling down. And I went, did you get any reports on that today?
No.
Yeah. You see it?
I was working fire last night.
Yes.
He got a report on it last night. It's Walmart's responsibility and they were contacted. I don't know.
I just, because it was, I don't know, Newtown or something, I come back down through, but I see a truck coming down through there, swing in there, hit that, and go through somebody's windshield.
Right?
I would think, can't believe it'd be real technical to take it down.
You want to see it?
No, I didn't know anything about it.
Well, it was dangling there. I don't know, but it was there the day before too. It has been. Okay. It's 2 days ago. Maybe I didn't notice it 2 or 3 days ago.
Adam, did you say this, your town meeting package will be available to the public?
Yeah. Yep.
When?
I'm gonna try and get them posted on the interwebs tomorrow, and then I was thinking hard copy wise, maybe doing like 50 or 60, and then there'd be enough for people to town meet between now and then and so forth.
If there's enough information, they should get it before they're gonna get it.
Yeah, if people want them before we get them printed, I'm happy to, rip them off here with a photocopy. But it'll be on the, posted on the internet.
Well, You can have
Do I have a motion?
That whole piece is like,
everything else you can already
the
get.
vanilla building between,
Yeah, make your way around it.
Warrant.
did it?
Motion to approve 133, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38 warrants.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Time's up.
I know that's.